Republicans are still trying to weaken child labor laws state by state. We have already seen multiple Republican-controlled states in just the last year weaken child labor protections so that we can put kids back to work in the slaughterhouses, put these 15-year-olds with heavy machinery. You know, we don't trust them enough to drive a car on their own, but sure, go run that giant, forklift and the excavator, you'll be totally fine, right? We have also, by the way, seen a record number of children die in the last year. Numbers not seen since we were sending the toddlers into the mines in this country, but Republicans apparently want to go back to those days because, as one Missouri state lawmaker put it, kids these days are just lazy. So let's put them to work. Those are essentially the words of Missouri State Representative Cheri Reisch. And Ms. Reisch is pushing legislation in Missouri that would do away with the waivers that young children have to have in order to work while they're still in school. Instead, a simple permission slip from a parent, and suddenly that kid is off to the mines again, right? But here is what Ms. Reisch had to say about children in America today. At what point are people going to be self-responsible? Some people seem to think the government is the answer to everything. These young kids need to be taught self-responsibility. And I can tell you my personal story. I started working at age 9, and I continued to work throughout high school when I was 14, 15. You know what these kids of today are? Majority of them are lazy, she says. They don't know what work ethic is, but they know how to play video games all night. They know how to join gangs. They know how to get into trouble, get a job, and be responsible. Vote yes. God bless. Hey, let me ask you something here, Miss Reisch. You do realize that if kids have no work ethic, it's not up to the government to give them a work ethic? I mean, you just said, everybody thinks government's the answer. Stop doing that. Now let's make government the answer. You know whose fault it is if kids don't have a work ethic? It's the parents' fault. Yeah, just a little FYI there, because aren't you the party that's going state by state right now saying parents should have the say, parents should be in charge, we want parental rights? But you never want to hold the parents accountable when their kid turns out to be a piece of shit, do you? No, you don't. You want to blame everybody else. It's the kid's fault. It's just a bad egg. It's the teacher's fault. It's the government's fault. It's everybody's fault except for the parents that put pieces of shit like you in office, isn't it? That's why this story pisses me off. If you want your kid to have a work ethic, then as a parent, it is your job to instill that in them. And to be honest, the best way to do it is to lead by example. And if you're not willing to do that as a parent, then don't turn around and get pissed off when your kid it turns out to be lazy, as this woman says. That's on the parents. Parents have responsibilities. Like, let's teach them self-responsibility. How about you teach that to the parents? You're not willing to do that, though, are you? You're willing to do what corporations want you to do, which is to put these young kids back in the factories, back in the fields, because you know what, folks? They can pay them below minimum wage. That's what this is all about. You're under 16 years old. In most states, most red states, you can actually pay these children below minimum wage. That is amazing, isn't it? Like, why even have a minimum wage if you have all these loopholes that allow people under the age of 16 to make below minimum wage, right? But that's what this is about. Don't ever let these idiots like Mrs. Reisch tell you anything different. She's not doing this to instill a work ethic into our children. She is doing it to supply very cheap and expendable labor to her corporate donors. Well, folks, we have crossed that 1 million subscriber milestone, but rest assured, we are just getting started here at Ring of Fire. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and make sure to like, share, and comment on the videos.